Serendipity. Go ahead and get started here. For this pattern, I've got the gold 2.8 brass bead on my size 14 scud hook, and we'll go ahead and get started. I'm just going to start my thread here behind the bead. We're going to tie in our antron. This is a pretty basic pattern as far as materials go. There's really only two patterns, or three if you add dubbing. I'm going to add dubbing on this pattern here, but I'm going to go ahead and take my olive antron yarn. I got to cut a good length of it here so I can make sure I wrap my hook shank with the material. I'm just going to cut off any of these fuzzy ends sticking out. Just want those ends to be flush. I'm just going to tie them down here, just loose gathering wrap up and over, and then I'm just going to hold that down and towards me. That'll kind of help as that thread comes across that yarn. It rolls it right up on top of the hook, so that way you don't end up with it rolling over to the other side. So the trickiest part to this fly is probably just the twisting up of this antron yarn. So if you had a pair of like gator grips or even just some forceps, smaller forceps on hand, this would help with that. I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to show you this. I'm just going to twist this yarn in my hand here, just roll it between my thumb and my index finger. I'm just twisting it clockwise, and then we're just going to wrap it up the body. You want a nice tight rope with this fly so it gives it some segmentation, and you'll see as we wrap it here. So the main thing here is just not letting go so it doesn't come unwound on you. And as I wrap, I actually kind of twist. So as I bring it up and over the far side and back down under the hook, I grab it and I twist again just to make sure that I'm getting a nice segmentation here. I'm keeping that rope nice and tight. You can see that segmentation start to form. So again, if you had some forceps or like some gator grips or something like that, hackle pliers that are really strong, that would help in this process here, but you can do it without, just like this. So just takes some patience here. Build your finger muscles up. I'm just going to stop right here behind the bead because we're going to add our deer hair. So I'm just going to bring my bobbin up and over my antron yarn, like so. And we're going to pull down tight, give it a couple more good wraps there, and then we'll cut off the excess. Okay, so you can see I've got some segmentation here. You can see that the rope that I've formed there, that's what we're looking for. If it's a smooth body, you didn't wrap your or wind up your antron yarn tight enough. So next, all we're going to do now is we're going to tie in our deer hair patch here. Any deer hair on this fly will work because we're not trying to make it look pretty as far as like there's no tips on it like an elk hair caddis or like a wing material. We're going to trim these tips down. So any deer hair will work. I like to use deer hair on this pattern because it's hollow and it'll splay out really well. So I'm just going to take a little pinch off of my little clump here that I've got. A little bit goes a long ways here, I think. And you don't need a lot. You can make it as full of a wing as you want or as sparse as you want, just kind of depending on what you like and what you see in your local river there. But I usually do about a clump, something like this. I start off with something like that, and then I end up cutting it down in half. So you really don't need a lot. Something just right around there is what I'm going to go with. I'm not going to worry about trimming the tips or the butt ends of these. I'm just going to put it right on top of my hook shank so it's hanging over the bead. I've got a good hold of it in my left hand. I'm just going to bring my thread up and over, loose wrap, and as I come down on that far side, I'm going to pull straight down and let those tips splay out, those butt ends splay out. Again, I'm going to do that one more time. And now I'm just going to work my thread, just advance it forward through those butt ends up to right behind my bead. If you have any sitting on the other side, you can trim them off or try to force them back up and over to the top there. I'm just going to trim that guy out. He's being problematic. Okay, so that's basically our wing. That's our little air sac or our little wing casing that's coming undone on the fly as it starts to float towards the surface, meaning it's getting ready to hatch and have its wings come out. So I'm going to cut this pretty short. Get a good hold of it all. Just try to keep your cut nice and level. I have something like that, so you have a little base, kind of like a square, like the head of an elk hair caddis is kind of what you're looking for there. And then that's good to go. And then the last part is the dubbing. I like the dubbing on this because it adds a little bit more character to the fly, but it also helps kind of tighten that bead into place so it doesn't sit there and spin around, and you don't have to use Zap-A-Gap or super glue on it and make a big mess out of it. So we're using dark sow scud dub is what this is. I like this color combination quite a bit. We'll just roll that on to our thread. Again, I just roll my dubbing one direction. Don't roll it back and forth, it'll come undone. And then I'm just going to wrap just right in front of that hair, creating a nice little collar, covering up any thread wraps. And again, you're just seating it right behind that bead so as that bead won't spin out. So I'm just going to trim out that little fiber that was stuck in that dubbing. Okay, and at this point we're ready to whip finish. So as you can see, you get used to this fly, you can crank out quite a few in a short amount of time. And you can do different color combinations. There's red, you can do golden, brown, anything you want to do, any antron yarn. There's lots of different materials that work for the body. This has been one of my actually go-to patterns this summer as far as fishing goes, so it's been a good one for me. So enjoy, let us know how you do with it. Make sure you tag us, Instagram or Facebook, and go ahead and hit our subscribe button on our YouTube channel, and also check out our website.